let's take Barack, for example. You still take my breath away. How?
Right.
With your anger? With your complete inability to just get with the program and show up?
At the inauguration, so I have to walk in like a lonely soldier?
Megyn Kelly didn't just call Barack Obama the most divisive president. In history, she may have pulled the first thread in a decade-long cover-up. It all started in December 2024 when Kelly's fiery rant set the table for something much bigger. Within weeks, the calendar turned into a wild tabloid timeline. January 2025. Michelle Obama skips both Jimmy Carter's funeral and Donald Trump's inauguration, leaving Barack to appear solo and some say exposed. But here's what almost nobody is connecting. Just 3 weeks before Kelly unleashed on Obama's legacy, a familiar ghost from the past crawled back into the headlines. Larry Sinclair, in an interview with Tucker Carlson, set social media on fire, repeating his old claims about a night in 1999 involving substances, a private encounter, and a man named Barack who, according to Sinclair, didn't just talk about change but had a taste for it for a moment. Sinclair became a one-man wrecking crew, but right after Kelly's broadcast, In Touch magazine dropped a glossy cover, Jen and Barack. Hollywood collides with Pennsylvania Avenue right on cue. Coincidence, or did someone somewhere smash the panic button?
He actually wants us to feel sorry for him. Like this multi-millionaire with this megaphone on broadcast television, despite his terrible ratings. By the way, I speak of both of them in that commentary. Out there like we're the real victims. Meanwhile, he's a bully. He uses that platform to demonize a group of people, just MAGA, right? Which includes millions of working.
We have to wonder if anyone in D.C. saw this kind of chain reaction coming. Megyn Kelly's December tirade went viral within hours, and it wasn't just your usual cable outrage. She accused Barack Obama of poisoning the nation's bloodstream, claiming his calm tone hid a deeper strategy. He presented himself as a unifier, but made everything about race that, quote, echoed across podcasts, news tickers, and social media, especially after Kelly called out his approach to law enforcement and healthcare, saying it was a playbook for division. Critics had said similar things before, but coming from Kelly, with her NBC background and Fox News baggage, it hit different. By the next news cycle, the narrative had already mutated legacy. Networks were suddenly running stories about the dangers of divisive rhetoric. Obama loyalists rushed to defend his legacy with statements about preserving hope. The hashtag Obama divide began trending, and then almost overnight, the conversation shifted away from policy and straight into personal secrets.
I have something super fun for you to discuss now, and I'm sad for Rich that he won't get to weigh in on it, but you're going to be really honored. Michelle Obama, as you know, has got a podcast, and she's putting it to good use. I mean, she's really working through a lot of her feelings about the United States, about her husband, about her children. P.S. The answer on all 3 of those is she can't stand them. She hated motherhood, she can't stand her marriage, and she's not too keen on the United States.
Here's why that shift matters. The timeline gets tighter and the drama starts. Stacking early January, Michelle Obama, usually the ultimate team player, suddenly sits out 2 of the most watched public ceremonies in years. First, she's nowhere to be found at former President Jimmy Carter's funeral. Insiders cited a scheduling conflict, that famously vague phrase that can mean anything from illness to not wanting to breathe the same air as a rival. Then, barely a week later, Michelle skips Donald Trump's inauguration, leaving Barack as the only former president's spouse not in attendance. The Obama press office confirmed only Barack would attend, but dodged every question about Michelle's absence. It didn't look like a one-time thing. Whispers started immediately. Were the Obamas living separate lives? Was this payback for something, or as some of Michelle's defenders claimed, was her absence a silent protest, not against Barack, but against the entire D.C. circus?
Got to spend a minute on the Obamas, because there seems to be some momentum picking up in the rumor mill about their marriage. All right, I'm going to bring you what I know.
But even before Michelle's sudden disappearance, Larry Sinclair had already opened the floodgates. His interview, filmed in mid-November and released right before the holidays, was pure Tucker Carlson, heavy on suspense, light on verification. Sinclair repeated the same claims he's been pushing since 2008. A private encounter, substances, and a Barack Obama, who at the time was just an Illinois state senator. According to Sinclair, he gave Barack $250 to pay for the substances and said, "I started to put a line on a CD tray, and the next thing I know, he's got a little Piping he's using it, Sinclair added that things went the direction I had intended there. Was no new evidence, though he had failed a lie detector back in 2008 and was even arrested during his own press conference. Most mainstream outlets had long dismissed him as unreliable, but timing is everything, and somehow this story still exploded online, if there's one rule in politics. It's that every scandal has a shelf life.
Have you heard the rumor that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston had an affair that ended his marriage? People that I respect, some that I even love, who may or may not watch this show.
So why now? That's where the next domino falls. Just as the Sinclair story hit its peak in Touch magazine, a tabloid famous for stirring chaos dropped its Jen and Barack cover. The headline screamed, "Michelle betrayed as Aniston steals her husband's." Attention, the subheader did its job too. If America loves one thing more than a comeback, it's a triangle. Jennifer Aniston, the eternal tabloid favorite, suddenly found herself pulled into a post-presidential after-party. Her rep denied everything, saying, absolutely untrue. She even joked on Jimmy Kimmel that she had met Barack only once and knew Michelle more than him. But the problem wasn't the denial, it was how believable the setup seemed that once Aniston referred to happened at a Netflix event. In 2022, right after the Obama's Higher Ground Productions signed a $100 million deal with Netflix, the same platform where Aniston stars in The Morning Show and where Barack's movie Leave the World Behind quietly fizzled in this universe. Tabloid rumors aren't born, they're manufactured. One business deal at a time was the alleged affair. Just clickbait, or was it fallout from a partnership that went sour when the ratings tanked behind it? All the old Obama marriage rumors came crawling back like bad soap opera plotlines in 2023. Influencer-turned-columnist Jessica Reed Krause posted a Substack claiming leaked DMs and sources said Barack and Michelle hadn't lived together in years. That claim spread like wildfire, repeated by Megyn McCain on her podcast, saying, "Very serious journalists are telling me the Obama divorce rumors are true." DC insider Tara Palmieri responded that she'd heard the same thing for years, that they live separate lives. The more the rumors spread, the harder it became to stop them. And when Michelle skipped those key public moments, the noise only got louder. Was this the final sign of a marriage in trouble? Or just two people done pretending for Washington? Even their birthday posts to each other, like Barack's happy birthday to the love of my life, with a photo of them reaching across a table, turned into internet Rorschach tests. Was it genuine affection or a carefully timed counterattack against a rising tide of gossip?
More fuel on the fire that there's a potential, maybe a divorce or some sort of rockiness going on in the Obamas' relationship. They both posted these mirrored, very choreographed Valentine's Day messages on X.
We can't ignore that none of these rumors have been confirmed by anyone close to the Obamas. Every official rep has denied any hint of trouble. A source near Jennifer Aniston called the story beyond absurd, and Vanity Fair dismissed the entire cycle as pure fantasy, but denials never make headlines like rumors do. Every time Michelle skips an event or Barack posts a perfectly curated message, the speculation starts spinning again. Even the claim that Michelle hates politics has become a convenient explanation for any public absence. Yet, as their public image grows more fragile, the pattern feels familiar, like deja vu. Rewind to July 2014. Joan Rivers, the comedian who never met a microphone she didn't love, is ambushed outside a Manhattan bookstore when asked if America would ever see its first rainbow community or female. President Rivers fires back. "We already have it with Obama. You know, Michelle is transgender." She laughs it off as a joke, but social media runs wild. A month later, in August, Rivers is admitted to a New York clinic for a minor throat procedure. Days later, tragedy strikes. She stops breathing, falls into a coma, and never wakes up. The death is ruled an accident, but investigations uncover alarming details. Poor monitoring, wrong anesthesia, even claims the procedure was done without consent. By 2016, her daughter Melissa sues the clinic for gross negligence. The settlement stays confidential, but the conspiracy lives on, because as soon as Rivers made her joke about Barack and Michelle, the internet fringe exploded with theories. Was her death just a tragic coincidence? Or did she cross a line with the wrong people?
Michelle Obama is a man. His words, quote, tranny. And she/he Joan Rivers because Joan Rivers exposed the truth.
The conspiracy gained traction because it wasn't the first time Michelle's gender had been turned into tabloid ammunition. Back in 2014, the National Enquirer ran a headline about Michelle's so-called secret past as a man, pure clickbait. But in the digital era, rumors never die. They get recycled. By 2020, a viral TikTok resurfaced pointing at Michelle's Adam's apple in old photos, adding more fuel. And no facts. Then in 2023, Jessica Reed Krause stitched all the whispers together on her Substack, claiming not only that the Obamas lived apart, but that Michelle's identity was the real White House secret once. Those words were out there, it didn't matter who denied them when Meghan McCain or other DC insiders repeated them. Later, it sounded less like gossip and more like confirmation through repetition. And then came the Jennifer Aniston angle when In Touch splashed. Her face next to Obama's, the internet exploded, but the actual timeline was far messier. In October 2024, the magazine dropped its Jen and Barack cover, citing anonymous sources about private dinners and secret meetings. Aniston went on Jimmy Kimmel shrugged and said she was baffled. By it, she had met Barack once and knew Michelle better. But the proximity was real. Netflix had signed the Obamas to a massive production deal, and Aniston was one of its biggest stars. Meanwhile, the Obamas' film leave. The world behind had tanked both critically and commercially. So was this supposed friendship just Hollywood networking gone wrong, or did the gossip machine simply find its next Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie triangle with a presidential twist?
Oh, but if it is true, it truly would be a political earthquake in
Yes.
Democrat circles. Never mind America. I don't remember a presidential divorce in modern history.
The temperature kept rising as old allies went quiet. Barack's team confirmed he'd attend Trump's inauguration alone, but dodged every question about Michelle. There was no explanation, no schedule conflict, no friendly photo op, just silence, and the pattern kept looping. Every high-profile absence triggered instant speculation and zero clarification. This didn't start with Megyn Kelly, and it definitely didn't end with her. If the most powerful couple in modern politics can't shut down the noise, what else might be hiding beneath the headlines? Because the deeper you dig, the less it feels like random chaos, and the more it looks like a blueprint, a sequence of leaks, denials, and perfectly timed appearances crafted to keep the public guessing. The Sinclair interview, the Jen and Barack cover, Michelle's missed events. None of it feels accidental with each unanswered question. The tension climbed higher, and then came the money. $100 million from Netflix, $65 million for memoirs. A $15 million Martha's Vineyard mansion, complete with private beaches and a neighbors-only golf cart circuit. But here's what nobody in legacy media wants to ask: if the Obamas are that wealthy, why is Barack still doing speaking tours, signing new content deals, and chasing cameras like he needs the paycheck? Insiders from the publishing world whispered in 2023 that Barack had pushed Michelle to run for president herself, promising the full Clint Obama machine behind her. She reportedly refused outright, and by late 2024, DC Cocktail Chatter claimed Barack blamed her for Trump's first victory. After that, there were no more joint interviews, no shared Instagram moments, and Michelle's absences grew louder than words. It started to look less like coincidence and more like core.
No one held a gun to her head and made her run for the White House and become First Lady twice. Though you wouldn't know that to hear her talk. And on top of that, like Laura Bush, she kind of went off into the sunset and never bothered anybody again. Barbara Bush certainly did that. Hillary Clinton didn't.
The Netflix deal, once hyped as the Obamas' ultimate victory, lap, and their ticket to kingmaker status in streaming, has quietly become a slow motion disaster. Leave the world behind. Didn't just stumble, it flatlined, failing to impress critics or connect with audiences. Rustin came and went with barely a ripple, sparking more talk about social messaging than storytelling, and the one Netflix series guaranteed to pull viewers, the morning show with Jennifer Aniston at the center, got dragged across media outlets as another case of woke overload. Hollywood insiders started joking about the higher ground curse, saying not even star power could save a project touched by the Obamas. That leaves one question nobody at Netflix seems eager to address: was the affair rumor Plastered across in-touch covers and meme accounts, just a shiny. Distraction from a business meltdown, or did the scandal itself scare off viewers, investors, and collaborators, turning Barack and Michelle from media moguls into punchlines of their own production?
Not to add insult to injury, but there's a Daily Mail report out today saying Kamala Harris's marriage may be on the rocks. Like everybody's on the rocks. Again, I will say I love the Daily Mail, but the sourcing appeared weak. It was like people who know the couple, but like, I don't know if it's any better than that, but they're saying she's blaming him in part for her loss because he turned out to be such a hot mess liability. You buy it?
You buy it because while everyone was watching Hollywood headlines, the old DC scandals started crawling back into the spotlight. Remember the 2024 DNI report pushed by Tulsi Gabbard? It dropped just loud enough to send both parties into a frenzy. The claim that Obama officials had manufactured intelligence about Russian interference in 2016, creating a narrative that tied Trump's campaign to Moscow on paper. It read like classic political chess, but the twist was sharp. The same Obama insiders, who built his scandal-free image, were suddenly accused of building an entire Russian storyline to protect that image. Was the Moscow narrative a real national security concern or a personal smokescreen to keep Obama untouchable? And while the public was still arguing, Barack was already cashing in rewind to 2016 when he publicly warned about Russian hackers meddling in the election behind closed doors. Leaks from intel circles suggested his team was feeding selective stories to friendly journalists, planting seeds about Trump's secret ties to the Kremlin. The fallout was chaos. The news cycle burned for months, public trust cratered, and while the fire spread, Barack Obama quietly collected $400,000 checks from Wall Street, speeches while his foundation raked in millions in foreign donations.
And that's the thing is, so the Bidens and the Obamas hate each other because Michelle Obama is very good friends with Hunter Biden's ex-wife. So that's led to a significant problem where they don't like Hunter, and if you don't like Hunter, Joe doesn't like you. Yeah. So I would not be surprised if Holmes is right on with this of like, oh, well, why don't we do this?
It's like, oh, man, you give us problems, maybe you can have a problem.
When public figures reach legendary status, the line between admiration and scrutiny starts to blur. Stories surface from unexpected places. International headlines, family drama, business, setbacks, all feeding the same machine. The image of perfection begins to crack. Whispers of exhaustion, creative pressure, and political distance grow louder as once powerful. Alliances start to fade. Industry insiders talk about burnout. Media critics question the weight of fame and the cost of constant visibility. Even best-selling authors step back from the spotlight and let silence do the talking. Is it fatigue from years under the microscope or something deeper, a quiet transformation behind the scenes that no headline can fully explain?
The rocks. The question now isn't if, but when. If I had to guess, they will wait until after the inauguration to announce it. Timing, is everything. And yet the story doesn't end there. For months, I've heard Jennifer Aniston's name tied to Barack. At first, it seemed ridiculous, but the rumors have remained steady among New York.
Power always comes with questions. Every headline, every policy, every carefully staged moment hides something beneath the surface. When stories start to collide, politics, money, and influence blur into one another. The public sees success, but behind the curtain there are whispers of hidden motive, secret deals, and quiet disappearances. The more the spotlight shines, the darker the shadows seem to grow. The world starts asking who is really in control. Is it the face we see or the forces we never noticed? The strategists, the donors, the media voices shaping every move. Maybe it's all part of a performance, and the real director stays behind the camera, pulling the strings, writing the next chapter before the last one ends. In the theater of power, nothing happens by accident, and the next twist is always closer than you think. Stay tuned, because the truth has a way of showing up when no one is ready for it. Power always comes with questions. Every headline, every policy, every carefully staged moment hides something beneath the surface. Because in the world of influence, nothing is ever exactly what it seems. The smiles, the speeches, the charity events, they look perfect on screen. But behind the curtain, there are whispers of hidden motives, secret alliances, and quiet disappearances. The kind that never make the news but change everything in silence. Politics, money, and fame are like threads woven together into one massive story, and if you pull on one, the whole thing starts to unravel. The public sees success, the interviews, the handshakes, the awards, but those who watch closely notice patterns, the same names appearing again and again in deals that don't add up, the same promises repeated with different faces. The more the spotlight shines,